the early morning call today. May I know who is in the call today?
Hare Krishna Mataji, my Pranam to you and all the devotees on the call. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devidasi from Orlando.
Hare Krishna, Rupini Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Nikunjara Sadas from Germantown, Maryland.
Hare Krishna, Nikunjara Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, everyone. This is Geeta from Bethesda. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Geeta Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, anybody else who would like to announce their name? Okay, so today we are so fortunate to have His Grace Ram Girdhari Prabhu from Mumbai, India, and Prabhuji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam 7.2.47 and onwards. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Welcome to the call. Please take over the call now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me in this Sangha. Those of you whom I have expected the other original speaker, sorry that I'm a replacement speaker, so it's like a joker card. So please allow me to do the service, and we will start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2. So the Canto 7 is where we are discussing about Prahlad Maharaj pastimes, and we are just in the initial stages of the pastime. So 7.2.47, this is the chapter where we are discussing about Hiranyakashipu and his related Hiranyakashipu, the king of demons. That's the title of the chapter. So we'll read the shloka and translation and then get going on the details. Yavallingan vito hi atma tavat karma nibandhanam tato viparyayah klesho maya yogo nuvartate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: as long as the spirit soul is covered by the subtle body consisting of the mind, intelligence, and false ego, he is bound to the results of his fruitive activities. Because of this covering, the spirit soul is connected with the material energy and must accordingly suffer material conditions and reversals continually, life after life. The living entity is bound by the subtle body consisting of the mind, intelligence, and false ego. At the time of death, therefore, the position of the mind becomes the cause for the next body. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yamyam vapi smaran bhavam yajjatya ante kalevaram. At the time of death, the mind sets the criteria for the spirit souls being carried to another type of body. If a living being resists the dictation of the mind and engages the mind in the loving service of the Lord, the mind cannot degrade him. The duty of all human beings, therefore, is to keep the mind always engaged at the lotus feet of Lord Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayoho. When the mind is engaged at the lotus feet of Krishna, the intelligence is purified, and then the intelligence gets inspiration from the super soul, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Thus, the living entity makes progress toward liberation from material bondage. The individual living soul is subject to the laws of fruitive activity, but the super soul, Paramatma, is not affected by the fruitive activities of the individual soul. As confirmed in the Vedic Upanishad, the Paramatma and the Jivatma, who are likened to two birds, are sitting in the body. The Jivatma is enjoying or suffering by eating the fruits of the bodily activities. But the Paramatma, who is free from such bondage, witnesses and sanctions the activities of the individual soul as the individual soul desires. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading from 7th canto, 2nd chapter, text number 47. The verse that we just read is continuation of the lecture given by Yamaraj. Yaval linganvito hi atma tavat karma nibandhanam tato viparyayah klesho maya yogonu vartate. As long as the spirit soul is covered by the subtle body, consisting of the mind, intelligence, and false ego, he is bound to the results of his fruitive activities. Because of this covering, the spirit soul is connected with the material energy and must accordingly suffer material conditions and reversals continually, life after life. So, Yamaraj is giving some inevitable details. Generally, we don't realize, even after theoretically knowing, because we dwell in some sort of illusory world. When I say we, I refer to conditioned souls. All the conditioned souls, the reason why we are called conditioned is because of our connect. When a person is constantly thinking about senses, sensual pleasure, and activities associated with only senses, and if he utilizes his intelligence his mind, his resources, everything for fulfilling the senses, then that person is called Shudra, or even worse than Shudra. If whatever I just said, within the framework of regulatory principles, within the framework of social principles, is called Shudra, but is outside, one who thinks about senses, sensual pleasures, resources, intelligence, mind, everything dovetail towards sensual pleasures, and not following rules and regulations, then they are equated to animals or uncultured. So based on our consciousness level in Varnashrama ecosystem, there are very nice classifications and references towards different types of people. Annamaya Sharira, Pranamaya Sharira, Manomaya Sharira, Jnanamaya Sharira, Vijnanamaya Sharira, and Anandamaya Sharira. So, Annamaya means that I am seriously interested in sensual pleasures and all my resources I will utilize towards that. It may apparently appear that we have utilized technology, we have earned money, we became popular, we have built a brand, we have a lot of followers. So these all may be portrayed as accomplishment and successes. But then the reality check that Yamaraj is trying to say here is that when a person is completely engrossed in sensual activities, he is fourth class or worse than fourth class. Incidentally, majority of the people in this material world who have no interest in spirituality or Krishna consciousness falls under this category. For example, all these sensual objects, all the sensual things that are existing in this world needs so much of intelligence, whether it is about porn industry, whether it is about so many cosmetics and sensually instigating industry, so many things about entertainment industry, so many things about gambling industry, so much about intoxicating industry. So all of them are using technology. They are bringing in innovations. They are engaging the best of the minds from the industry, picking up superlative intelligence from Yale, Harvard of the world. But what is the purpose? The purpose is sense gratification. What is the net result of this entire endeavor? Shramayehi kevalam, simply waste of time. So Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly says, where is our bet? It is warning us, encouraging us to say where to put your energy. And wherever you put, what result you will get. That is also very nicely given. It is not that, anybody is forced on something. Nobody is forced into Krishna consciousness. If you follow certain, set of activities, you'll get certain set of results. So from that perspective, we learn from this verse, we are going to learn some sets of reflections as always and try to take home some lessons. The first reflection is about the aspect of recognizing and identifying our constitutional nature and make sure that we are not victimizing ourselves towards false propaganda. I repeat, recognizing about our constitutional nature and safeguarding ourselves from and not becoming victim to the false propaganda of the so-called sensual world. To establish this point, I want to say that Srila Prabhupada is, mentioning in this purport that even though the soul is Satchidananda, even though the constitutional nature of the spirit soul at each and every one of us, if you remove all the layers, Stula Sarira, Sukshma Sarira, if you remove all the layers around the soul by its original state is pure. And these coverings which pollutes or which forces the soul to undergo certain type of experiences, this is something that once utilization of independence decides that. If I utilize my independence given to me in a manner that is going to save my soul from this damage, then I am walking towards reality. If I utilize the intelligence given to me in a manner which is binding my soul into this materialistic world, I am walking towards illusion. So the constitutional nature check. How do you do the constitutional nature check? We have to cross-check our constitutional nature by three things. There are many ways, but three ways by which we can always check, yes, I am not this body, but spirit soul. Number one, by looking at our surroundings. It is explained in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagvatam, a fantastic, episode where a person is learning from the nature so many things. Pradhananda Maharaj has written a book about this enlightenment by the natural path. Please read that book. It's a compilation of a saint's journey and learning lessons from the nature. So when you see your surroundings, so that is why we say, beware of yourselves and your surroundings, because we are conscious living beings. If, in spite of me being a conscious living being, I live like that of a mechanical toy which operates on battery and which sometimes operates, somebody has to give a key, then we are under the control of somebody else. So, it is very important for us to note that at the end of the day, our life is very much dependent on our being aware about our surroundings. So whenever we are supposed to introspect, whenever we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class, it is just not meant for some intellectual treatise. It is not just meant for, some philosophical, discussions. It is meant for awakenment, prabodhana, awakening our real, true, conscious self, which is currently, pulled on all directions for sensual pleasure. So the point I want to say is, we can be conscious about our constitutional nature, number one, by being aware about our surroundings, by looking at others' pain, by looking at changes happening, by looking at, various disturbances, diseases, just by observing. You observe your friends, neighbors, family, your society, how people are going through what sorts of pain. We will get a lot of lessons about life. So our constitutional nature has to be, we have to constantly remind that this is not our dwelling place. We are in a jail. We better have to leave. So this is one way. The second way by which we can be aware about our constitutional nature is by volunteer awakening, by allowing ourselves, our ears to be tweaked by well-wishers. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu one time went to Srila Prabhupada and asked Srila Prabhupada that who is more important, book Bhagavata or devotee Bhagavata? Srila Prabhupada says, devotee Bhagavata is more important because a devotee Bhagavata will tweak your ears and drag you to the lotus feet of Krishna. So this is like voluntary allowing ourselves to be corrected. If you say I am voluntarily allowing, which means when your authority, your senior tells you to do something, you can't challenge because it is you who went to them. It is you and me who went to Krishna. It is you and me who went to Gurudev. It is you and me who went to Vaishnavas. And when they ask you and me to do something, we can express our inability, but we cannot challenge them. We can express our difficulties, but we cannot question them, why I am supposed to do this? Who asked you to say this? Why only giving this to me, not to that person? So we do not have rooms for challenging. We have rooms to introspect, take their help, and try to learn and become self-aware. So whilst surroundings is going to teach, allowing ourselves to our ears to be tweaked, which means giving oral reception, going and asking, by participating in situations and conversations and sabha where awakenings, prabodhan happens. Because sometimes certain obvious things have to be told. I'm not sure if you have seen this. Some toilets in public domain or in public places mentions flush after use. Flush after use, is it to be told? Brush after you wake up, is it to be told? Whom this is to be told? Maybe a small child. maybe somebody who is not properly situated in terms of his or her own consciousness. But otherwise, every sane guy is expected to follow some things, but still it is being told because sometimes we forget to even do the basic obvious things. So obvious things need to be told. So when you go and allow yourself to be corrected, to be enlightened, to be awakened, it is our voluntary choice to go and tell, my dear sir, can you please help me? Like how Arjuna did. Arjuna could have very easily concluded. Arjuna had a choice of justifying about his decisions, of not fighting. Arjuna could have got so many followers if he had not fought the Mahabharat war. And many people would have voted for him, saying that what a wonderful sadhu Arjuna is. But in the eyes of Krishna, in the eyes of Dharma, he would be a defaulter. So Arjuna, because he was an intelligent guy, even though he had an impulsive thought of not to fight, he still did not want to take a decision about his fight or not fight himself. He approached a right source. Devahuti surrendering to Kapila Dev. It is not an easy decision. Devahuti is mother of Kapila Dev. But Devahuti, when she is surrendering to Kapila Dev, the mood in which she is surrendering to Kapila Dev, the intention with which she is surrendering to Kapila Dev is very, very special. Mother Uttara going and requesting Parikshit Maharaj, after Parikshit Maharaj finished hearing Srimad Bhagvatam from Sukadeva Goswami, the beginning of where Brihad Bhagavatamrita starts. Brihad Bhagavatamrita starts when the regular Bhagavatam discussion is ended. Mother Uttara said, please, my dear son, can you give me a summary of what did you hear from Sukadeva Goswami? Prahlad Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj had hardly few hours left or maybe couple of hours left. But still, Parikshit Maharaj said, my dear mother, whatever I heard in 7 days' time, I don't have time to repeat all of them in toto, but I will give you a summary of it. Sanatana Goswami Pad writes that this summary study or this narration of Brihad Bhagavatamrita is meant for only serious and sincere practitioners. So my second, reasoning of how to be aware about our constitutional nature is by regularly, by voluntarily allowing ourselves to go through this process of awakening. When I say the specific word voluntarily, meaning by my choice, I do this, which means I will not blame, I will not question anyone. And the third way is that we need to, be awakened. We need to be aware about our constitutional nature, about we being a spirit soul, we being responsible and accountable personality. When we are learning from our surroundings, when we are learning from our seniors, we can also learn when we are teaching others. by we going through certain experiences, which means I myself put myself into a process by which I will learn. Because I did not learn in the classroom. For example, I am not a first class, but at least I have to be second class. First class is the one who learns without being said, by looking at others. Second class is the one who learns after being told. So the whole message here is that in our life we need to somewhere or the other, if not remain first class. That's why Krishna explains in 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you can't do this, at least do this. If you can't do this, at least do this. 12.6 to 12.12, if I'm right. He is listing, if you can't do this, Arjuna, at least do this. At least do this. At least do this. At least do this. Which means allowing ourselves to go through certain experiences. In fact, Varnashrama Dharma itself, arrangement itself is like that. The purpose of Varnashrama Dharma is to put us through certain experiences. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says, if somebody is a Vairagi, if somebody is having determination, he need not even go through, marriage life. He need not even go through certain experiences in life. Straight away from a brahmachari, he can take sannyas and somehow dedicate his life, pack up from here, quit once for all this material world. But can all of us do it? No. So when we get married or when we get into some sort of a bonded arrangement, do we not know that there are entanglements? We know it, but we still get into it. And we are still given some chances. We are still given some regulations. We are still given some opportunities. We are still given some, facilitation that, okay, you go through this. Be a grahastha, be a father, be a mother, be a, social responsible member. Take care of certain things, and through that, you can learn certain things. Because you did not learn in the first place, or maybe you couldn't otherwise learn in the first place. So the third aspect by which we can realize about our constitutional nature. Mother Sita, what happened? After after they all returned to Ayodhya, because of one rumor or some sort of a gossip that Lord Rama heard about how Mother Sita's candidature was questioned. Lord Rama called Lakshmana, and said, Lakshmana, you have to do something now. Said, take Mother Sita, don't tell her where you are taking. You just take her and drop her off in Valmiki Rishi's ashram. So Lakshmana was crying and weeping. To cut the long story short, Lakshmana took Mother Sita. Mother Sita thought that as soon as they got married, I came here. We have to immediately leave for the forest for 14 years. So maybe Lakshmana is showing me the city around. So she was happily going around with Lakshmana, seeing the city and beauty and various other things. Lakshmana took Mother Sita to the outskirts. Lakshmana reached Valmiki Rishi's ashram, and he got out of the chariot and bowed down to Mother Sita and told, my dear mother, I have been told to drop you here. Please go and take shelter of Valmiki Rishi's ashram. Mother Sita was crying, weeping, and sobbing. So, but then at that time, she said, this is definitely due to me. I doubted you, my dear Lakshmana, when Maricha was trying to distract my husband. You gave me several assurances not to worry. I doubted your integrity. So this punishment is important, due for me. So it was not required for Mother Sita to go through this. It was not required for Mother Sita to go through the Agni Pariksha. But Ramayana, Mahabharata, various episodes have got several anecdotes where these experiences are sometimes needed for us to learn something which we did not learn in the first place. Prabhupada writes in 4th canto, 3rd or 4th chapter, when Sati reaches Daksha's fire sacrifice, when Daksha did not welcome Sati, which Lord Shiva warned enough, because Sati did ask Lord Shiva, why don't we go for the Vajpayee or whatever that, yajna that Daksha was doing. Lord Shiva said, no, we will be humiliated. You need not go. He gave several reasoning. But finally, Lord Shiva said, but I will not force you to stay back. You do what you want to do. And incidentally, interestingly, Sati left. And everything that Lord Shiva predicted happened. Prabhupada writes there. Sometimes, because Prabhupada writes, people with poor fund, I'm paraphrasing. Prabhupada writes women and people with poor fund of knowledge. They don't realize. They didn't, because of their nature, they try to do certain things and realize their mistakes later. But the message here is, sometimes, because we are not first class, because sometimes we are not even second class, but still we needed to be rescued. Krishna gives certain experiences, puts us through certain journey. So at least through that journey, we should learn. The reason for being put into the jail is so that these inconveniences will teach you a lesson to not to steal again, not to do the mistake again. So my first reflection, I want to state that it is imperative for each and every one of us to realize our constitutional nature, and this is a regular, ongoing activity. That is why I have said in earlier classes, we cannot stop introspecting. Our daily life is to be filled with introspection, and introspection means that which is honest, that which is guided is introspection. Without honesty, without the guided, your introspection is waste. And what are we introspecting? Introspecting about our constitutional nature, the duties I am supposed to be performing, and we also have some conditional duties. It is not that we only have constitutional duties, but conditional duties should be the subset of constitutional duties. Constitutional duties means I am Krishna's servant, I am disciple of my Gurudev, I have missionary duties, and we are supposed to do all of those things to purify my senses and intelligence to quit this cycle of birth and death. So every activities that contributes towards that are called constitutional duties. What are conditional duties? Conditional duties are that which is associated with the body, keeping the body healthy, making some money for your livelihood, protecting your dependents, looking after your social obligations. Prabhupada says that is to be done because you have to survive in this world. But the proportion, the ratio is something that we need to watch out for. So I want to conclude my first reflection by saying that unless and otherwise we are vigilant about our constitutional nature, that we are not this body but spirit souls, and our purpose of human form of life is to somehow or other elevate ourselves from this cycle of birth and death, we will be really classified as Vidura says in Mahabharata, that we are equal in animals. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunamscha samanyam etat pashubir naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko viseshaha dharmena hina pasubir samanam. My second realization is about the aspect of what Prabhupada is saying in this purport, where he says, if somebody is able to deal with one's mind, he can easily be able to take care of other things. Senses, mind, or a team. Intelligence is somebody who is manipulated. Typically, in a routine scenario, how does this coordination happens? Well, let's take an example. I am walking on a road. I am watching something very attractive. Suppose somebody is making pani puri, golgappa. I am not supposed to eat them by spiritual descriptions or spiritual regulations, because they are not offered, because they are not clean, because they are not suitable for my healthy as well as my spiritual consciousness. But the taste of it, or the whatever attractive part of it, I'm just giving one example, any other example can be chosen. So my senses, my eyes, my nose, which is smelling, already starting to experience them, and it is having a discussion with the mind. Hey mind, shall we go ahead and eat them? So the mind is going to the intelligence. If the intelligence is illuminated by knowledge, if the intelligence is that we are in Mayapur Dham, if we are in Vrindavan Dham, we are supported with some devotees close by with us, when our intelligence is very, nicely protected, intelligence is very strong. At that time, intelligence says, no, nothing doing. It is not offered. If you really want to eat, go to Radha Rasbihari temple, you will get the prasadam one. You go to Govinda's restaurant and so on to place, you will get them, you cannot eat them. Intelligence will control mind and senses, and mind and senses will keep quiet and walk further. But if the intelligence is not illuminated by knowledge, and if it is not supported by some Vaishnava association, intelligence become dependent and weaker to the mind's dances. And it will say, okay, once we will eat. So there is a fight between mind and intelligence. Intelligence says no, mind says yes. Intelligence says nothing doing, mind says one time please. Intelligence says no, I will complain to Prabhuji. He said, please, yeah, once in a while we can do a cheating day. So there is a debate. Depends upon who is stronger. That's why Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that those whose mind is under his control, mind is his best friend. Those whose mind is not under his control, his mind is his worst enemy. So Prabhupada explains in this purport that the mind cannot degrade a person, one who is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. But one who is not taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, the mind can degrade him. So your senses, your hand to pick up the money from your wallet and to give, the instruction is coming from the mind. Dictated by intelligence or controlling the intelligence, either way. So a person who is self-realized, one who is considered as a Mahabhagavata, one who is considered as a Bhagavata, he is Bhagavata because he knows to keep his mind and senses at bay. There's a book called Vaishnava K. there is a book called Mana Siksha. There are several songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur to your mind. Because mind and tongue, not just tongue, every senses, but tongue specifically, have got some unique role. Rudra Tandav karte rehte hai. They keep dancing. They keep controlling. They keep demanding. They keep instigating. They keep challenging. They keep justifying how what they are asking is needed and important. So that is why this Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya needs to be properly understood. Annamaya means sensually, Sudra, karma is only focused on actions. Least bother about reactions. Pranamaya, little, they are Vaishya type. Economic development, Artha Vyavastha. Manomaya, Jnanamaya, they are some people who are into religious quest, thinking about dharma. Vijnanamaya, they are talking about moksha, realizing we are not this body. Only those who are in Anandamaya, they will talk about bhakti. So the point here is that when we are, part of this Krishna consciousness process, we still have our past conditioning, and the past conditioning comes from this place called mind. It is part of our Sukshma Sarira. And the Sukshma Sarira is always there around the soul. Prabhupada explains. The material mind, the material ego, the material intelligence, these three constitutes our Sukshma Sarira. They need to be eliminated and replaced by spiritual mind, spiritual ego, and spiritual intelligence. He uses the word called transcendental mind, transcendental ego, and transcendental intelligence. Because Sukshma Sarira is needed. And the way it is, the current conditioned form is not needed. So it is important for us to realize that mind is our, person to whom we have to focus on. And that is to be done by a very systematic procedure of sadhana, by systematic procedure of sangha, systematic way called seva, systematic way called sadachara, acharana. Culture means that I will follow something, some routines, that which is going to uplift my consciousness. I will read a portion from the preface to Nectar of Instructions, where Prabhupada is talking about this particular aspect of mind control. This is from preface of Nectar of Instruction. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva Guna, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. Then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. The follower of Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. So this is something very, very profound and important for us to even memorize this. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. A follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should be a perfect Goswami. Look at where Prabhupada started and how Prabhupada is concluding. Spiritual affairs means mind and sense control. For what? For eventually becoming Goswami. So today, in my spiritual life, my focal point is how to understand this particular paragraph. That is why Prabhupada has repeatedly said, before reading 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita, study first 9 cantos of Bhagavatam, perform devotional service, perform menial service, associate with Vaishnavas, build up, your character. So he is talking about everything, because before even we participate in Krishna Leela, before even we understand, anything about the confidential pastimes of the Supreme Lord, we need to have some foundational understanding about us, foundational understanding about this world, foundational understanding about the Supreme Lord and its interrelations. So my second reflection in this current context is that how Srila Prabhupada is insisting on this point about this mind being the main component element. So when the mind is engaged, that is why we are called Tatastha Shakti. That person, based on with whomever we are associating, our consciousness can be aligned, manipulated. So it is about our choice of where we are connecting. So my second reflection is about to say that this mind control, which is an instruction of Srila Prabhupada, instruction of the Supreme Lord, instruction of all the Acharyas, and the process of doing mind control is Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. Abhyasa, which means we are, how much ever we are studying philosophy, we have to apply philosophy consistently. I was taking a class on the topic of culture to our boys and girls here on Sunday. So we were discussing the word culture has got 4 components: consistent, scalable, sustainable, beneficial. So, culture meaning I should do some activity consistently and which is scalable to several members of the society. Sustainable means for a long period in time this philosophy and ideology can be sustained. And last but not least, it should be beneficial for everyone. So the point here is we need to have some sort of a Vaishnava culture, Vaishnava ethos, which means our lifestyle is based on some consistent, enthusiastic routine, which will help us to control the mind, which will help us to take care of. That is why in Bhajagovindam, Shankaracharya is very nicely saying this. Satsangatve nitsangatvam, nitsangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatvam, nischalatve jivan muktihi. So satsangatve nitsangatvam. When you are in the association of devotees, then nitsangatvam. You don't have to worry about any delusion. So nirmoha, nischala, jivan mukti. Nirmoha means no lamentation, no hankering. Nischala means no chanchala, nirmoha means no delusion. And nischala means no chanchala, no hankering, no lamentation. So in a satsanga, you will have less attachments. Then that is the way by which we can tame our mind. So that is about the second reflection. The third reflection is about the death. Prabhupada explaining that what is the criteria at the time of death. So art of dying, art of living, art of giving, art of forgiving, they are all interconnected. So we are all, because of being a Kali Chela, we know art of lying, art of telling lies. But by somehow or other, we take conscious, cautious endeavor to take up spiritual life. As Srila Prabhupada explains, the example of 2 birds the Jivatma bird, without realizing what Krishna is trying to reveal, is overlooking and performing an action and getting entangled. But the one which is witnessing, the one that is in the tree, just witnessing the actions of the other bird, is Paramatma. He is not going to get into any trap. So our duty to understand is that we need to make sure that somewhere or other we handle our life in a responsible manner. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayoho. So my third reflection is about art of dying means to make sure yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatyante kalevaram. We have a recent episode of passing of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I'm sure all of you would have had the opportunity to hear the glorifications about Maharaj, where you will see by yourself what it means to be art of dying, what it means to be art of living, what it means to be art of forgiving, what it means to be art of doing devotional service. So that spirit, that personality, such personalities are so wonderful, and they are demonstrating, teaching us about these instructions that Srila Prabhupada is explaining. So the art of dying, it's a preparation, because it is not just an exit. It's just not leaving this body. It is about this exiting the cycle of birth and death. Just by we consciously, cautiously prepare ourselves to leave the body in a proper state of mind, then we are going to exit completely the Janma Mritu Jara Vyadi. If you are not going to believe in this, if you are not going to trust these instructions by Krishna, then Krishna wants Ashradadanaha Purusha Dharmasya Param Tapa Aprapyamam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. So he says that if you do not have Shraddha, then be prepared for Mrityu Samsara Vartmani, going through the cycle of Janma Mritu Jara Vyadi. So my third reflection hence is that somehow or other, we the followers of Srila Prabhupada, we the followers of Srila Prabhupada's servants, whilst all our Vaishnavas are around us, please learn to prepare ourselves for leaving this body in a manner by which we will not come back again. So leaving this body is actually a preparation. We had discussed in once during Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj's disappearance day or some festival. So we were discussing in our group that how we need to start preparing ourselves for our onward journey. It is not a one-day agenda. It is not that today morning I am told that I am going to die. I will suddenly sprung up to a divine consciousness. I will be constantly thinking about Krishna. Impossible. Impossible. Narada Muni is explaining to Rishabhadev, saying that the sound of the child, beautiful sound of your wife, and all these attractive things will make you realize this material world is a wonderful place. If you are attached to your child, I'm sure we are supposed to for our services, but we are attached over and beyond the allowed limit, then we are trapped. So I want to say that at the end of the day, the art of dying means art of renouncing, start to relinquish. So I am always saying this to all my students and friends. If you are 35 plus or if you are 40 plus, please think twice, thrice, 4 times on acquiring more and more and more and more things. Because the amount of time you take to acquire things, it will take double the amount of time for you to relinquish them. And if you are asked to leave this body, you will not be able to leave this body if you are attached to these many things. So it is extremely important for us to be attached to Krishna and slowly develop detachment. Death is not just, okay, I just died. You cannot die like this. According to Garuda Puran, at the time of death, we will have the pain of 10,000 scorpions stinging at one time. I'm just quoting what I heard and read. I do not remember, how I died in my previous births. But at least this much information is available to us. But that's not how Vaishnavas die. Vaishnavas die or Vaishnavas live. For them, both ways are glorious. And Vaishnavas' deaths are celebrated. And our deaths are definitely mourning. So, my point is that this art of dying means to regulate and learn to renounce. So we need to learn to slowly start reducing our attachments and dependencies towards the worldly things so that our mind and intelligences are programmed, and that way we will be able to, elevate our consciousness. So the point that Yamaraj was trying to highlight here is that the covering, spirit, soul, sukshma, sarira, all the three of them need to be purified. Mind needs to be purified, intelligence needs to be purified, and we need to come into true ego to say that I am dasa, 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 das, anudas. So these are my three reflections associated with this particular context. Just to give a quick summary, we spoke about how this human form of life, we are supposed to utilize this human form of life for elevating our consciousness. So there are different types of personalities from Annamaya to Anandamaya. So our first important duty is to realize our constitutional nature, that I am not this body, spirit, soul, and this material world is not the fittest place for me to live. So we had discussed that in the first reflection, 3 ways of realizing our constitutional nature. Number 1, by being aware about the surroundings and looking at and learning from there. Number 2, by allowing ourselves to be awakened. Number 3 is that putting ourselves through certain experiential learning, which is not the best, but at least go through certain experience and at least learn, because those experiences are meant for you to learn. And the second reflection we discussed is about the personality called mind, and we discussed with the an analogy of how a mind dictates intelligence, senses, and how they collaborate, and how it is important for us to make sure that this mind is properly tamed. And we said that it is by setting into a culture. We need to bring into a kind of Vaishnava culture, and culture meaning that activity that which is consistent, scalable, sustainable, and beneficial, so that this culture, this routine, this activities will help the mind to be regulated, abhyasa. And several times that is why Prabhupada says sadhanas are our lifeline. And the third reflection that we discussed about is the art of dying, because at least at the time of death our mind should be clean, assuming that we have next 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever number of years that we have left with. So that much time is preparation for you to die. So our material life is not just for art of enjoying, it is for dying and eventually exiting this cycle of birth and death. So for dying peacefully in Krishna conscious, we need to bring in the sense of renunciation. So each and every one of us who are practicing devotees, we need to plug in our lives how to start reducing our attachments. So that's why I said that after 35, 40 years, we need to be very careful. We need to start slowly detaching ourselves from them and eventually focusing more towards Krishna consciousness. This is the very mediocre way of saying this. According to emphatic Vaishnava way of saying this, meaning dovetail everything in Krishna's service right now and engage ourselves in 100% Krishna conscious activities. We may not be able to do that. That is why there are choices given to us, and let us go by that choices also. So with that, I would like to stop here, and probably I guess tomorrow also I have the service of giving Bhagavatam to this group. So we will continue this context tomorrow further from the verse 48. Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaurav Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Any questions or comments? I'll be happy to respond.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful class and explaining about your third reflection. How should we be prepared about our last minute? I was thinking that we should prepare from 50, but you said we should prepare from 35 to 40. So it was eye-opening for us. So thank you so much. And on the last moment, I requested you, and you were kindly accepted the request for that. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
It is reciprocation. Several times I have also put some bomb on your head saying that, I cannot come to the class 3 minutes before the class. So it is my duty to serve you back.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So-
Krishna Pranam. All goes to Sri Prabhupada. It was such a nice class reflecting upon how we need to disentangle ourselves from the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And nicely you have enumerated the point, the issues in point by point. First is the level of consciousness, and it was nice to reflect upon the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya koshas to the Krishna levels of Krishna consciousness, and ultimately at the level of Anandamaya to the Krishna consciousness. It was nice to have that relationship understood, and how to disengage mind. Mind is Chitanchali Yamana Krishna, Pramati Valavat Dhriram. He is very, very powerful. So unless we tame it with the reins of intelligence, it is very difficult. So Krishna says that even as the rudderless boat goes here and there by the wind, the mind will go here and there with the senses. So it's very important for the sadhana and the abhyas and Krishna consciousness practices to detach ourselves from the senses. Rather engage the senses in Krishna service. That is Visha Vinimartaniya Harside Rasavarjo Rasavyastro. So it was very nice to have understood, yes, how we need to have a control on our mind, and finally engage all the three elements to Krishna service so that they can be purified. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your kind association, and please continue to purify us by giving you so much valuable association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Geeta. I just had a quick question. Thank you very much for such an enlightening class. Is that, sometimes certain karmas, they result in something totally, I think, maybe we don't know how, or I don't know how it is connected. Like like you said, that doubting, and like Sita Mata was doubting Lakshmana and did not listen. So the consequences were. So how are these consequences connected to the karma? And
the idea was, okay, thank you so much for asking this. And what I meant was, it's a pretty big subject matter, say, in terms of consequences, karma, action, and reaction. I'll answer that, but I'll first respond to the Sita Mata point. Basically, a person who is self-introspective, he will look at every situation, both in happiness as well as in challenges. He will correlate towards his actions. The idea is that it is one thing to be understood very clearly. The law of karma says every action that you do, there is a reaction. And if you have performed an action, something that you will get it in return. Krishna explains in 3rd chapter in a concept called karma, akarma, vikarma. Karma means good action, you will get good results. I did some charity, I get some punya. I did some, help to some old people, I get some sukriti. Vikarma means bad actions. Bad action means some bad results. I harmed someone, I will be pained. I just, insulted someone, I will have some repercussions. This something is a basic understanding It's a third standard, fourth standard education that we should all give to everyone. Nobody can escape this. What is akarma? Akarma is those actions for which there is no material reaction. There is reactions which is over and above materialistic things, which is divine reactions, which is called devotional activities. So when somebody perform akarma activities that are not going to bound them, it will purify both the good as well as bad results, because we are agnostic. We are not agnostic. We are not interested in both good results as well as bad results, because either way, if I have a results, I will have to come down to enjoy or come down to suffer. What Bhagavad Gita teaches is, intelligent person is the one who will want to finish off this karma kitty forever, make it zero, and eventually raise his consciousness above to become a devotee and be situated in his constitutional nature. So to answer your point, I just say three simple things. Number one, action and reactions are interconnected, and how the interconnections are that it is varies from person to person, situation to situation, and depends upon the gravity of the problem. But a person who is self-introspective will easily be able to correlate. It is because of that. So it is the greatness of Mother Sita to self-impose it upon herself. If the entire story is much, much longer, I didn't, ponder on that. Because Lakshmana is cursing himself, saying that, why I am have to doing this service. Lakshmana is taking a sankalpa that this is the last time that I will ever become the, younger brother of, in the Leela. That is why after that, every Leela, Lakshmana became, like, in Krishna Leela, he became elder brother, so that he did not obey, Krishna's instructions. In the sense, as a matter of fact, Lakshmana was thinking that why I am supposed to do this service. This is a tough service. So the message is that everyone who is introspecting will be able to correlate, which means they will be conscious, which means they will be hearing their inner voice. Because when you make a mistake, your inner voice shouts, it is wrong. Only those who are giving oral reception, they will be able to recognize them. 99% we don't give attention to those things. Otherwise, anytime when I am going to steal, do I not know that I will be punished? When I am breaking a traffic signal, do I not know that I will be punished? When I am trying to cheat someone, do I not know that I will be punished? I knew it, but I still do it because I am overconfident, or I think something or other I will be able to manage. At that point in time, I am so impulsive. So similarly, many a times in our lives, we are not able to hear attentively. That is why I said in the first reflection point itself, we need to be aware about our own self and have self-introspective nature. And karma, akarma, vikarma is a science by itself. Maybe in the future sessions, or sometimes in a private forum, we can detail it out. I hope I did respond to your question. Did I?
Yeah, thank you very much, Maharaj. That's very, very helpful. Yes, it'll be nice in later some classes if we can find out. Like you said, we very well, if we do introspection and listen to the inner voice, we can correlate why it happened. I mean, that'll be interesting to know. But thank you very much, Maharaj.
Probably tomorrow we will touch base on it, because tomorrow I am given the service to continue this shloka, next shloka. So if you are there tomorrow, then we will have some time to elaborate this point.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I look forward.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or comments or reflections? Okay, so probably we'll end the session and see you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Prabhuji, it was excellent class today, as always, every time. Thank you for coming on the conference every time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
I will.
Hare Krishna. So if nobody has any question or comments, we can end up the call here, and we are looking forward for your class tomorrow, Prabhuji. So let's pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataruvesya kripa sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Namo
Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya
Jai.
Shri Thakur ki jai,
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara
Jai.
Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai,
Jai.
His Grace Ram Girdhari Prabhu ji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.